Good morning. My name is Ojas Mehta, and I'm a student of the New Era Senior Secondary School. Recently, the school took part in a Zero Shadow Day experiment in which the students measured the inclination of the sun on the Zero Shadow Day and on the summer solstice. And this is the report on our experience of the experiment, the data we collected, and the things we learned. So, without further ado, let's begin. One of the first things that we learned was what exactly is a zero shadow day. Earlier, we had just assumed that since the sun is directly above head at 12 noon, the shadow would be non-existent for that period of time. But because the earth rotates on a tilted axis, the sun's rays come at an inclined angle. Due to this, the shadow is always there in some or the other amount. Although it does occur that on a very specific day at exactly 12 noon, the cylindrical and cubical objects would have no shadow at all. This day is known as zero shadow day, and it comes only twice a year. So, what exactly did we do on the zero shadow day? Well, we found out the angles of inclination of the sun at various times. How did we do that? Well, first we plotted a directional coordinate system and we placed a long cylindrical object at its origin point. Then we took the readings of the height of the shadow of the object at various times. We took the reading in both IST and local time terms. Once we had the data, all we had to do was find the ratio of the height of the object and the height of the shadow. This would be the tangent of the angle of inclination. Once we had that, all we had to do was find the angle, which can be done easily by calculating the arc tangent of the value. Now, my friends Amog Bhamerkar and Harvi Shah are going to show you the data we collected and analyze it. Thank you.
We have tabulated the observations taken by some of the students of our school on the Zero Shadow Day, that is 3rd June. These are some pictures of the experiment we performed on 3rd June, including our setup and our readings at different timings. After performing the whole experiment, we mainly observed that the shadow of the object keeps decreasing until the noon approaches, and at local noon, the shadow is absolutely zero on the zero shadow day, that is 3rd June. And after noon, the shadow again starts to increase in size. Also, all objects create a slanting shadow, but at noon, the shadow is exactly perpendicular to the object.
These are our observations on 21st of June, that is, the summer solstice. I would like to mention here that most of the observations are before noon because there was a prediction of rain, and due to cloudy weather, we could not take observations at noon. Here you can see some of the photos of the setups and the apparatus we made on 21st of June. Based on our experiments and observations on the 3rd and 21st of June, we could find out the following observations, and this was an analysis. First of all, as we approach the local noon, the length of the shadow is decreasing, and it is the least at noon. As time goes on, the length of the shadow increases once again. In other words, the length of the shadow reaches the trough of the curve at noon and rises once again. Our second observation was that the angle of inclination tends towards zero. The third observation was that as the time of the year passes from the March equinoctial solstice, the declination angle is increasing as it reaches the peak on summer solstice. And the angle is always positive because it is tilted towards the sun during the summer of northern hemisphere. This is a graph we plotted based on the angles in degrees with respect to time on the zero shadow day. As you can see in the graph, the length of the shadow is decreasing as we approach noon and increases once again as time goes on. I would like to conclude our presentation by saying a big thank you. Observing the ZST was a great experience for us. We got a lot of exposure by setting up this apparatus and conducting the experiment ourselves, finding out the observations, getting a conclusion. It was a great experience for us. It gave us an opportunity to learn more about this phenomenon called the zero shadow day. Before this, I just thought that the shadow is always zero at noon. But knowing that this only occurs twice a year was very surprising for me. And to get to know about it firsthand, it was a great experience. So a big thank you to all who were involved and for watching this presentation. Thank you. Signing off here.